As the official healthcare provider of Minnesota United, Allina Health is focused on keeping our loons in top condition. And with expertise in orthopedics, sports medicine, heart care, and more, Allina has the team to keep your family in the game too. The experts at Allina Health take the time to get to know you as a whole person, helping you achieve wellness for your mind, body, and spirit. It's an altogether better kind of healthcare. Learn more at allinahealth.org.
Hello there and welcome to the Sound of the Loons presented by Allina Health. Callum Williams here, delighted to be back with you, stepping in for a regular host and a football commentator that now finds herself down under. Kindra D. St. Aubin, for those unaware, is a part of the Women's World Cup commentary team with Fox, so she'll be away for a couple of weeks, meaning people like myself and several other recognisable voices around the Twin Cities will be stepping in to host the Sound of the Loons podcast. So today we've got a really intriguing show ahead for you. First and foremost, we'll be joined by Sean Buckley, a name that you'll be familiar with through previous iterations of this podcast. We'll get to him shortly. And later on in the show, we'll be joined by Teemu Pukki, the latest designated player of Minnesota United. First and foremost, though, Sean Buckley, head fitness trainer for Minnesota United. Fitness guru, I think it's safe to say, is probably a more appropriate way of describing Mr. Buckley. For those unaware, is a Liga MX extraordinaire, spent 18 years in Mexico City working with the likes of Cruz Azul, Mazatlan, Lobos Buap, and several other teams in Liga MX. So we kind of thought, with Leagues Cup around the corner, he is the perfect guest to help us preview the forthcoming tournaments, which Minnesota United, of course, will partake in over the course of the next month or so in a group containing Chicago Fire and Puebla of Liga MX. Sean Buckley, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Thank you, sir. Very good. Good to see you.
Likewise. Thank you very much for joining us. Really, really appreciate it. So before we get into all things Mexican football and your area of expertise, let's move on to another area of your expertise. And the season so far, Minnesota United, before we talk about individuals that have worked their way back in and new players, because I am intrigued to hear how some of the new players are getting on. Talk me through the process of this campaign so far and what your assessment of it is.
Yeah, obviously we've had challenges starting from preseason. We know, situation of, not having arguably our best player available from the very beginning. I'm very happy that we have him clicking on all cylinders now, quite clearly as we watch him play. So very happy about that, and I think that's helped our performance quite a bit. We have, like you said, the new players that have come in, and I'm very excited. I look out today and I see, more bodies than we've had on the training pitch, and more guys on the bench that I've seen all season. So that's exciting, and for Adrian to have and his staff to have more options than they typically have, I think is only going to help us.
So let's focus on some of those players that have returned to fitness over the course of the last couple of months. But we'll start with the obvious one, shall we? You and I had a conversation when I did Minnesota at Portland Timbers a few weeks ago, maybe a few months ago now. It's all sort of meshing into one blur. Emmanuel Reynoso had just returned to the country. And you and I sat down and had a bite to eat. We might have had a glass of wine or two as well. And you had said to me that you thought he was still a long way away from being readily available and the Emmanuel Reynoso that we all knew. And much to everybody's surprise, he's turned himself around awfully quickly. So talk to me about that process and how you got him ready for first team football so quickly.
Yeah, I think it all starts with him. It all starts with Ray coming in. I think missing the game so much, missing being around his teammates, the competition of it. I was in contact with him all last year when he was here, and I've never seen him as motivated as I see him right now. I mean, with everything, with playing, with fitness, with doing extra work, and it obviously shows. So when he came back, he agreed. We did double sessions with him 6 days a week for the better part of 4 to 5 weeks. My intention was that by 6 weeks that we could, see him in the lineup. I think we were closer to 4 weeks. By week 6, I think I don't know if he came in as a sub or was already starting, and that's fantastic. And his performances to me have been unbelievable. And from being able to be selected in the squad to now, I think he's even continued to improve. He's, the one guy similar to like a Fragapane who's looking for extra work every day, looking for additional ways he can improve. He's coming in after training. He's coming in on optional days, and it shows. He came in significantly underweight. He's gained some weight back, muscle weight, but he's still much leaner than he's been in the past. And I think it helps him quite a bit to be, that much more lighter. And we're just going to continue to work with him. And to me, all the credit to Ray for the motivation to get back and the motivation to push himself for even more. I see him driven for bigger and better things for the team, for him personally, professionally.
What's it like for you in that situation, Sean, as the man who is in charge of the health of these players, when you see Emmanuel Reynoso coming into the fray, when he's needed, no doubt, and you're not entirely sure that he's quite ready yet, but needs must in that situation? How nerve-wracking was that for you?
Quite a bit. My entire preoccupation was for him not to get injured. Please just don't get injured. Don't get injured. I mean, 6 months off, regardless of being young, is a lot of time off. And so far, so good. He has, stayed injury free. He's been available for every game since. And it's just been a breath of fresh air for us. And until the season's over, I'm just going to keep crossing my fingers that, this time off doesn't equate to any, significant muscular injuries. And I think, like I said, his motivation to be in the gym, to work out, to do extra work is only going to help that.
That's really good to hear that he's really motivated. That's exceptional to hear, because we all know a very good Emmanuel Reynoso means only good things for Minnesota United. Talk to me about then some of the new players that have come in and where they are from a fitness point of view. Teemu Pukki, we mentioned, arrived at the club several weeks ago. Ismail Tajuri-Shradi, after a spell in Cyprus, a name that is familiar with a lot of people in Major League Soccer, spent time with New York City FC, won MLS Cup there, also had a short spell with New England Revolution. Ethan Bristow as well, another player that's been announced by the club recently, coming in from Tranmere Rovers in the UK. Where are they all at the moment in terms of fitness and sharpness?
Yeah, I mean, compared to our guys, obviously they weren't playing, that recently. The most recent was Izzy. It had only been a few weeks since he had played his last game in Cyprus. So I think his, conditioning was probably, a little sharper compared to everyone else's, but he had some injuries in the past that we really wanted to focus in on making sure that those injuries don't come back, that we give him the attention he needs to try to reduce any risk of re-injury. So I felt very good with his fitness. Teemu as well. He had been on vacation, back with the national team, on a break again. So he wasn't, completely out of shape, out of rhythm, but, to his own admission, he's still, maybe half step behind our team, who now we're a number of months into a year-long campaign. But I'm very confident, especially with the minutes that he's getting, that his fitness is going to jump right back. And the other one, interesting, Ethan, I think he's the one that had a little longer time off. He had been in a preseason in England for 3 weeks, so he was just starting to sort of get back into it, ramp it up. And so this is a player that we're giving extra attention to post-training to make sure that we can get him caught up as quickly as possible.
Good to hear. Okay, let's now focus on the reason we're doing this podcast, shall we, and the forthcoming tournament, League Cup. For those who are unaware, we have done a podcast with Sean Buckley in the past, which went into his past and his experience with Mexican football. But for those that have yet to hear that podcast, Sean, and are perhaps unaware of you, give us a brief synopsis of your career and why you are so experienced with Mexican football.
Well, starting back when I was a significantly younger man, went down to, was fortunate enough, a series of events led me to a position with Cruz Azul, which is in Mexico City, very big club, very important club, where I spent the better part of 18 years working for this organization, basically starting from the bottom, kind of working my way up, working with young players up to the first team, and typically all in the same day. Young kids, first division players, kind of ran the gamut at everything that I did at Cruz Azul, developed their infrastructure in terms of their current performance center, their gym, and then made a move after that when went with a coaching staff to Pumas, another big club, also there in Mexico City. Was there on a coaching staff for a year and a half. From there, went to Lobos WAP, like you said, which is in the city of Puebla. So I have some familiarity with the city of Puebla and also Puebla FC, the team that we're gonna face. And most recently, 2020, very brief encounter, very brief job with Mazatlan, also first division Mexican club. So all in all, I lived there for the better part of 23 years, primarily Mexico City, Puebla, and briefly in Mazatlan.
Incredible. Not many can say they have that on their resume. It's very, very impressive. So talk to me then about Puebla and what sort of an opponent are Minnesota United expected to face. At the moment, 0-1-2 in this season's Apertura, just 3 games in to the season, by the way, for those who are wondering. What sort of opponents are Minnesota United likely to face?
Well, I also looked at the league table. I know they've only played a few games, but the fact that they're in, second to last place is probably a bit deceiving. Certainly, they're not, they're not as poor as that, nor is probably Cruz Azul at last place. So I wouldn't be interested in playing either of those teams, thinking that that's the level of their play. Now, something that's an interesting dynamic, whether people know or not, is in Mexico, the stability for head coaches is not great. It's not great. So you could be doing not well in the leagues, which is this case Puebla, and I would be very concerned with Puebla and the fact that their coach is going to want to show results. And if the results come in, by way of Leagues Cup, so be it. Because, typically coaches don't last but 4, 5, 6 months. I think the average is maybe 7 months, right? So they're going to take this very serious. I think we're going to have our hands full. The coach for sure is going to want to get results in this tournament. So that's something to me to be very concerned about.
Yeah, Eduardo Arce is the man in charge of Puebla now. He took over last year. He was the assistant manager for some time. As you say, this does feel like an audition period for him. Some really good players that he has to work with as well. Mancuello, the Argentine, I think is exceptional, the number 10. Velasco as well, the Colombian, I think could cause real problems for Minnesota United. How are the Minnesota United players approaching this? Because this is new for everybody, Sean. No one really knows what to expect yet.
Yeah, very new, very new. I fielded a number of questions from the players. How do I think we're going to do against them? I think we're going to do very well against them. Like I say, it's going to be very challenging. Our guys need to take it very serious. But, for the most part, MLS players are going to take it serious because there is sort of this cloud that hangs over where this cloud of sort of superiority by Liga MX, where it's typically been considered a higher level league. And, our guys, as well as all the other MLS teams, are going to want to prove that that's just not the case.
Yeah, Andre Pierre Gignac of Tigres made that point again several weeks ago, saying that he still believes Liga MX is better than Major League Soccer. We'll wait and see, won't we? Because this is now the ultimate test, because for the very first time, it's not just going to be a Pachuca versus LAFC or a Seattle versus a Monterrey. It's going to be Minnesota versus Puebla. It's going to be St. Louis versus Club America. It's going to be Austin versus Mazatlan. this is an exciting time for football in North America, Sean. We've never seen anything like this before. As somebody who has the experience in this region that you do, how excited are you for this tournament?
Oh, I'm extremely excited. Obviously, I want us to go through. I want to see some of these other teams. I know players on a significant amount of the teams, as well as staff members, and I would like to see them, here on our territory, meet up with some of these people and kind of see how we do. Now, it's interesting. Before we got on here about an hour ago, we ran a gym session downstairs. But before that, I called a buddy of mine who's basically my counterpart. His name is Paolo Paccione, who works for Rayados Monterrey, who has gone from America, has now gone with Tano Ortiz to Monterrey. So he's the head of performance for them. Very good friend of mine. Years ago, he worked at Montreal Impact. He's been in America the last few years. And just to kind of take the temperature with him, I said, how serious are you guys taking it? How serious do you think the other teams are taking it based off what you've seen, what you've heard? Give me some of your insights that, you're the one that's there now. It's been a couple of years, I guess maybe almost 3 years since I haven't been there. And he had some good insights. He says from a sporting side, it's going to be very interesting, kind of like we talked about, where MLS players are going to sort of gauge themselves and they're going to see that the gap between the two leagues is narrowing, right? And on the other side, League MX players are going to say, whoa, this is pretty cool. These stadiums are nice. The level is high, and MLS is no longer a retirement league. This may be a place I want to go. This may be a place where I want to have my family play, move where I play. I thought that was very interesting. He also said it's also going to be a nice gauge for the sporting side of League MX clubs to come here to see the infrastructure that the MLS clubs have and start to aspire to it. If they don't want to be left behind on this continent, which may be inevitable anyway, if they want to, kind of keep up with the Joneses, so to speak, they need to get it in gear. They need to invest in infrastructure. They need to, some clubs need to organize a little better. So I thought that was some pretty good insights. Obviously, the commercial side for both leagues, for both organizations is extremely important as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Just one or two more, Sean, before we let you go. We know you've got a very busy day ahead. You mentioned, obviously, your connections to Cruz Azul. Now, I'm sure the opening day of this tournament will be of particular interest to you because Cruz Azul, for those unaware, will be facing off against Inter Miami. And in case you've been living under a rock, you will have seen, of course, that Lionel Messi is now the latest superstar to join Major League Soccer, and indeed will be plying his trade with Inter Miami. What sort of conversations have you had with people down at Cruz Azul? Because the expectation is that Lionel Messi is going to debut against them.
Yeah, correct. And interestingly enough, this is the first year since 2016 that I don't have any former players on the team, interestingly enough, which is when I left the organization. Staff members, yes. And I know they're over the moon with the possibility of being, in such close proximity to be able to, play against a team that has, arguably the best player in history playing for it. So, whoever's going to come up against Inter Miami, they're in for a treat, no question. And a professional experience, which would be our case. If we were to, at some point, play against Inter Miami, amazing professional experience, as was, my experience last year with the MLS All-Stars.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here, Sean, but I'll help you because, and you're going to hate me for saying this, my prediction to win the whole tournament is Club America. And I know you're going to snarl and not be very happy with me there, but given your expertise, where do your eyes focus here on who do you think is going to perhaps lift the trophy for the first time ever? And are there any other teams that perhaps people aren't necessarily talking about that you think people should keep an eye on? Yeah,
well, at no point can I ever rule out any Tigres team at any time. I've been in too many games with a lot of these same players that continue to be there, Guignac, Pizarro, other players that continue to be, and they are to be reckoned with. They're tough. I mean, I don't put anything past these guys. I always have Tigres as one of my top whether it's the league, whether it's CONCACAF, whether it's any competition. To me, they're sort of that team that's out there that I would, if I was a betting man, would always put money on.
Wonderful. As always, Sean, look, thank you so much for the time and the incredible insights to football in this region. We really, really appreciate it. Stay with us on Sound of the Loons. Next up, we'll hear from the latest designated player from Minnesota United, Teemu Pukki.
The newest chapter in the rivalry between MLS and Liga MX is coming to Minnesota this summer. The 2023 Leagues Cup arrives at Allianz Field July 23rd when the Loons take on Club Puebla in their first group stage match. Just 3 days later, a date with Chicago Fire will wrap up MNUFC's group play. For more details on this new competition or to secure your tickets before they're gone, visit MNUFC.com today.
And a very warm welcome back to the Sound of the Loons podcast presented by Alina Health. Now then, recently, the newest Minnesota United centre forward, Teemu Pukki, joined in conversation with several lucky season ticket members. Here is how that conversation went. Hello there, and welcome to this very special season ticket member only Q&A with Minnesota United's new designated player, Teemu Pukki. I'm Callum Williams of Apple TV, formerly of Minnesota United. Delighted to have you here with us today, and thanks very much for having me and Teemu as part of your afternoon. So some housekeeping rules here. You may notice on this Zoom call, you have a Q&A box at the top of the screen. Now, to my knowledge, if you click on that, you can type a question, and myself and Teemu will do our very, very best to answer any questions you have. We also have a litany of questions that have come in from you, the season ticket members, over the course of the last few days as well. So whilst myself and Teemu have a conversation, we'll also try our very best to get to your questions as well. So first and foremost, it is my pleasure and honor to welcome to the Minnesota United Zoom, Teemu Pukki. How are you?
Oh, good. A bit tired. It was a tough day at the office, but yeah, all good. Happy to be here and happy to see some fans here as well and listening. So
wonderful. Yes, everybody's very, very excited to have a conversation with you. Before we get going, I have a conversation. So I have a question rather, which is really going to help me from my job perspective. Now, I have a handful of friends back in the UK that are also football commentators. And for years, they've been calling you Teemu Pukki. Yeah. So my understanding, your name is pronounced Teemu Pukki. Help me out here. How do you want us to say it?
You did a pretty good job, so I prefer that. But in the end, I don't mind whatever they call me. I know it's a bit hard for especially English people to pronounce my name in a Finnish way, but I'm happy for whatever. But you did well.
So I will always say I'm going to go with however you say it. So say your name to us, so also the season ticket members can pronounce your name the right way as well.
Yeah. So in Finnish way, it's Teemu Pukki.
Teemu Pukki. Okay,
yes.
I'd like everybody, we can't see the season ticket members at the moment, but I'd like everybody just for a second just to practice that. Teemu Pukki. Teemu Pukki. It's not difficult. I think we as English-speaking people and an English-speaking country, at times we just don't pay attention to stuff like this. And honestly, Teemu, it really, really annoys me. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. From now on, everybody will say your name the right way. First and foremost, then, how are things going? Are you enjoying life in Minnesota so far? How have the first few weeks been?
It's been busy. Obviously, already 3 games and many trainings, so haven't had too much time to explore Minneapolis or Minnesota yet. But I've enjoyed it. It was good I had a small break in the summer without football, so it was good to get to work straight away, and it's been good first couple of weeks.
Bless you. I am interested to understand your reasonings for coming to Major League Soccer in Minnesota United, because, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Teemu, but to my knowledge, from my sources and people I know, you had an opportunity to stay at Norwich City, and there was also interest elsewhere around the globe. So why Major League Soccer and why Minnesota United?
Yeah, it was great 5 years in Norwich. I really enjoyed my time there and have wonderful memories from my time there. But really felt that I need to experience something different, and it was already last couple of years. I would say I've always thought that it would be a nice experience to go to MLS. Come to US and after the long season, obviously the agent and the club they were negotiating for some time, but I was had good talks with Adrian and Mark over Zoom on my holiday, and of course spoke with Robin many times. We good friends from quite a long time now, so I knew where I'm coming and what kind of football we play here, and I think the football Minnesota is playing suits me really well, and I believe again enjoy football again. It was tough last year, the last season with Norwich, and football was not always fun, so there was something I really looking forward to start enjoying football and making it fun again, and like that's the way to get best out of me when the football is fun.
What were those, if you don't mind sharing, what were those conversations like, first and foremost with Robin Lutz, but then also with Adrian Heath and Mark Watson?
Yeah, actually Robin, I think it's already a couple of years back when he first said that Minnesota are interested in, but it was not the time then. It was too early. I think we were in the Premier League at the time, and really had everything going well over there, and we're fighting for staying in the Premier League. But yeah, now of course this summer we spoke a bit more, and he explained and told me about the city, about the team, and I think that tells everything. They have enjoyed their time in Minnesota so much, and obviously Robin's wife as well. She spoke with my wife and told all the good things about the city, and they did good work, praising for everything what's going on here, and yeah, that was pretty much with Robin, and with Adrian and Mark we had a short Zoom call. They basically explained why they want me here and what kind of football Minnesota are playing, and told me about the facilities here, about the city, about the stadium, and so it was a good talk. After that, I felt it could be a good option. Didn't make any decisions back then yet, but it was good to know what's going on here, and before I had to do the decision or where I will play next.
I think, Teemu, sometimes people forget about the human being side of football, and people just see players moving all over the place, coaches moving all over the place, and it's very easy to forget that you are actually a human being. So with that in mind, how much did the facilities, but also simply the fact of living somewhere that is so wonderful like Minnesota, how much did that play its part in your decision?
Yeah, obviously a big thing. I have two daughters as well, and growing fast. So it was, I think the language, first of all, they've been in school and nursery in England, so they know the language already. So that was a big thing to come a place where they can keep improving the English language, and obviously wanted to like have a good city as well where to live, and the fact Robin, Yanni their daughter, I think she's between ours age-wise. So it's nice to have friends, and especially for the families when we're away for games. So they have company here as well, and they can do stuff with close friends of ours. So there was one big thing as well.
I know you've already briefly answered, but I'm curious to understand when you go and you have some time off, have you and your family been able to spend some time with Robin and his family and explore the city and explore Minnesota a little bit?
My family, they are still in Finland, so they're okay. on their way here probably next week or week after that. So but I've been sleeping in Robin's house actually for the last. So I spent couple nights in hotel, but then Robin and Janni and they came from the break in Finland, and they took me in. They've been taking good care of me, and so for sure when my family will come here, we will for sure spend loads of time with them and let the kids play with each other a lot.
Now you've got me wondering, what is Robin Lod like as a housemate? I'm curious.
He's been class. It's been easy to be with them. They've really been taking care of me. There's good food in the house, and yeah, he took me to some restaurants as well. So I've seen a bit of Minneapolis as well, and yeah, he's been a great guy to share a house with.
Give me some gossip here, Teemu. Is Robin, is he a tidy human being? Is he messy? What's he like?
No, I think he's just a perfect human being. There's nothing wrong with him. He's yeah. I can't give any gossips. I don't have any about him. So.
Okay, fair enough. Well, it's wonderful to hear that you're settling in so well in the Twin Cities. You will continue to discover it is a sensational place to live, and everyone's very, very happy to have you. Let's talk football then, shall we? You got the chance to make your Allianz Field debut in a game against Austin FC. I think the less we talk about that game, the better. But talk to me about what your first impressions were of the facilities, of the atmosphere, and the whole match day experience at Allianz Field, because it's quite something, isn't it?
It is. The atmosphere was amazing. Didn't really know what to expect. I heard good things about the atmosphere and the stadium. When I came here to sign, me, my wife, and my agent, we were in the stadium, so I could see already it's a nice looking stadium, but obviously it was empty back then, so didn't know what to expect in the game, but the atmosphere was great. Even we were losing, they tried to cheer us up, and that's great to see. And obviously the game didn't go as we hoped, and it was a tough loss, but it was a great experience for me to do my debut over there. But obviously, yes, we still haven't won on my time there, and I heard it this season not too much either. So I think that's something we need to change as soon as possible.
Yeah, you might want to start learning the lyrics to Wonderwall, Teemu. Just a little bit of advice there for you. Talk to me, though, about the stadium itself, because you have plied your trade all over European football, and there are some spectacular stadiums on that continent, don't get me wrong, but Allianz Field feels, and you correct me if I'm wrong here, but it feels almost German, it feels almost Central European in its architecture, but also the match day experience as well. Talk to me about that, and then, as I say, that the facilities themselves, the attention to detail in the nicer parts of the stadium, how much they do for the supporters on a match day, how much the supporters do for the club on a match day as well. It's just a sensational experience.
It is, for sure. And I really like is it standing stand behind how do you call it? Yeah, but that's something we didn't have in England. But I remember from my times in Denmark, we had it. I think it's somehow raise the atmosphere, having that in a stadium, and to have a good atmosphere there. But yeah, haven't like seen too much the stadium yet, but what I've seen, I think it's a really class stadium, and can't actually wait to get my family there as well and see the games from there. And but yeah, it's great to see how good the stadium and how good the atmosphere is over there. But like I said, I think we need to give something back for the atmosphere as well with the results.
Absolutely. So let's then fast forward after your official MLS debut to a game at Houston Dynamo. There was a lot made of the potential partnership between yourself and Emmanuel Reynoso, and it seemed to click fairly quickly. Talk me through the goal that you scored in Houston. For me, it was a typical Teemu Pukki goal.
I think you can name that. Scored a few of those before as well. I've heard really good about Reynoso before coming here, and they told me I will love to play with him, and I think it's true. He's really class player. So I can't wait to even like get a better connection. Obviously, it's been here 2 weeks, so we haven't had that much time on the pitch, but you could already see something that why it could be in the future with him. So obviously it was a great goal. I could see him getting the ball, so I kind of started my run before happening, and the turn he did kind of surprised me as well. but I think it surprised everyone else in the stadium as well, because I was so alone in the middle, and great pass and a solid finish as well. So it was a great goal, an important goal as well to get that 2-0 so early. So because I think before us scoring the first goal, the user was pretty much like on top of the game. So it was important to get those goals to get the result.
Is that the type of goal that fans can expect to see from you on a regular basis in Major League Soccer, Teemu? And what I mean by that is you playing off the shoulder against a high-line opposition. Is that what we can expect to see? Yeah,
I think that's something suits my game well. If I would say my strength in football, it's the movement. I try to find the places to do my runs, and that's a good example of the goals. What could be, of course, can score different type of goals as well, but that's definitely one of my strengths.
Now, whilst we're on the subject of Emmanuel Reynoso, you were legitimately right in front of the goal that he scored against LAFC and the build-up that came with it. Talk me through that, because at times it was majestic.
It was a wonderful goal, yeah. Obviously, how they played with each other in such a small spaces, and the last pass from Gervin and the finish. It was a great goal, it was important as well. We just conceded 1-0, so it was really important to score fast to get the game even, and what a goal it was.
That leads me into my next question. In terms of the standard of play in Major League Soccer, has it surprised you so far?
Not really. I knew it has got better in last couple of years, and I knew it's a quite physical league, and it's quite much what I expected, and still some work with me to get perfectly fit. Obviously, it was a summer break with before signing here, but we're working hard on the training pitch, and hopefully I'm there where I want to be soon. But yeah, it's not easy league. It's a tough league. So I need to be on my best to do well here.
What we'll do, Teemu, is we will concentrate a little bit on your experience in European football here shortly. But I want to go to some fan questions here, because we have a whole host coming in for you. Yeah. This one comes from Heather, who says, you're obviously a football player, but Minnesota is a big hockey state. Are you a hockey fan, and do you play yourself?
I follow hockey. I wouldn't say I'm a hockey fan, but for sure I want to go and see some NHL games. Being here, obviously Finland's been doing well lately, and we have some great players in NHL. So for sure I'll be following Minnesota Wild now. Bit sad there's not too many Finnish players anymore. There used to be quite a lot here. So that's not perfect scenario, but hopefully they could sign a couple now.
I'm sure the club will get you to a couple of Wild games for sure. It's a very, very good experience. This next question comes from Guy G. He says, do you have a favourite goal or goals from previous seasons?
I would say one of my favorite goals. One of them is for sure. With Finland, we played against Liechtenstein the day we qualified to Euros for the first time. It was a penalty, but who cares? But to score that 2-0 goal was kind of the last thing. Like after that, they couldn't come back, and it was important goal for the whole country to go Euros. So that's one for sure, and then I would say the hat trick in the Premier League home debut with Norwich against Newcastle, and the first goal out of those three was a volley after corner to the top corner. So that's probably one of my best goals in my career.
I remember that goal. What does it feel like when you connect with a ball as sweetly as you did? Do you know instantly that's going in? Yeah,
you can feel it. Yeah, and I haven't scored too many beauties in my career, so it was a nice feeling when I saw it coming in, and yeah, the atmosphere on that day was something else as well in Norwich.
Yeah. So let's focus then on your time overseas, shall we? You have scored goals wherever you've been, whether it's been with Celtic, with Schalke 04, with Norwich City. Is there a specific moment in your career that you identify as your favourite and you look back fondly on?
Yeah, obviously, had great time in Denmark before going to Norwich, but that I would say the first 4 years in Norwich was probably the best time for me as a football player. I kind of maybe as a young player I had a dream of playing in the Premier League, but somehow I kind of gave it away. I didn't think I would on my time in Denmark. I didn't think I would play in the Premier League, but to get that chances with Norwich, it was brilliant for me, and to score goals as well in the Premier League it was a great time. And then those 2 seasons in the Championship when we won the league, it was really was enjoying football at the time. Yeah, it was a nice, good team with the good teammates as well. It was a great team we had over there, and the best time on my football career as well.
I was going to ask you this, but I'll let one of our season ticket members ask it as well. A chap called Aaron, who asks, who is the best player that you've played with?
Who's the best player I played with? That's hard question. I would say on my Schalke time we had Farfan. He's from Peru.
Yes.
He was some player. I think it was the season before I went there. They were playing Champions League semi-final, and he was a great player. And obviously we had Raul in that team as well. Huntela, some great strikers. So it was great to learn from those guys. And yeah, I think I would say him as the best.
Okay, so then I will ask you, who is the best player you've played against?
Best player I played against. I would say I had the hardest time against Van Dijk. He was a centre back and for Liverpool, and for some reason I was always trying to go to this other centre back, so I didn't have to be close with him. I actually played with him in Celtic, so we knew each other, and he's a great guy. But especially on those seasons, he was so good. It was I remember playing against him. It was a tough afternoon against him, and it's not easy to play against him.
So what makes it so difficult to go up against somebody like him then? Because he seems to be the complete forward. It doesn't really matter, it seems like, if you go with your back to him, if you're running at him, he always seems to have an answer. So in your mind, when you're going up against him and it hasn't gone well for 10 minutes or so, what are you thinking to yourself? How do you get the better of someone like that?
Yeah, it's hard. Like I said, go to the other centre back and hope it goes better against him. No, he's quite complete footballer. He's fast, strong, and good with the ball as well. So it was it's not easy, and he showed it now for last couple 4 or 5 years as well in Liverpool that he's one of the best centre backs in the world, and. Yeah, so I think it's not easy to play a top player against like him.
No, not at all. And you've had your fair share of games against top players, particularly when you're playing for the Finland national team as well. All-time record goal scorer for the Finland national team, by the way, for those who are unaware. I'm assuming, Teemu, and correct me if I'm wrong, that Euro 2024 is on your mindset and a goal of yours, correct?
Yeah. That's I would say it's probably the biggest dream for me as a football player. It was the dream to get to Finland to the major tournament, and we did it last time to go Euros. But the Euros, it was because of COVID as well. It was postponed, and it was not for the full stadiums at the time. So I really wanna experience Euros as it is normally, and now it would be in Germany. I think it would be the atmosphere would be crazy, and that's something I want to be part of and do better than we did last time in Euros as well. So we're in a good place in our group now, but there's still six important games we have to play, and hopefully we can make it again.
With that in the mindset, what's the aim for you this season in Major League Soccer? Because we've already played 2/3 of the season. Now we have this brand new Leagues Cup to look forward to, and I'll ask you about that in a bit. But with the third of the remaining MLS season in front of us, what are your aims?
Yeah, obviously we are not too far away from playoffs, so I think that's something we as a team want, and I want to help us to achieve that, and to score goals. That's the striker's job, so that's the best way to help the team, and hopefully I can help with my goals to team achieve the targets they have set before, but yeah, it's still, I don't know how many games to go, but I try to do my best to score as many goals as I can.
And then, so looking ahead to the forthcoming Leagues Cup, as I said, it's the first time this has ever been done. I can't imagine you've played against many Mexican oppositions before. So what are you expecting, and what are the expectations for you and Minnesota United in Leagues Cup?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't think I ever played against the Mexican team, so it will be a first experience for me. Don't really know what to expect. I would guess it's a good team, and it will be a tough test for us. But yeah, it's hard to say what to expect, because obviously it's new for everyone. But I just heard about it a week ago, so didn't even know that's the thing here. But I think it's important to get game time and to play with the teammates more in every game. So I hope it will help us for me to get to know guys better and then to know me. So we'll help in a long run. The more we play with each other, and I mean, obviously every time you go on a pitch, you go to win games. So I hope we can do well in that cup as well.
We'll go to a couple of fan questions here, and we won't keep you too much longer, Teemu. We understand you've got a lot going on and you've got some goals to focus on, clearly. Let's go to, I'm just looking at some of the questions that have been sent in here. This is from Mary, who has been a season ticket holder since 2021. She says, now that you're in Minnesota, we're all excited to have you team up with Robin Lutz. You've obviously got experience with him on the national team. What is he like to play with? And do you think his experience will translate over to your experience?
Yeah, obviously I enjoyed playing with Robin a lot in national team. We always had a good connection on the pitch and yeah, off the pitch as well. We are really good friends, and so I can't wait to play with him. It's sad that he's injured at the moment, but I know we will click together well on the pitch. So he will for sure give me some good assist as well. So I can't wait to play with him, and hopefully he will get fit as soon as he can, and we can play with each other again. And obviously he have had really good experience here. So the way he speaks about the club and about the city, it's praising everything a lot. So I hope we can have as good experience as he has had here. So and yeah, looking forward to spend with him on the pitch and off the pitch as well.
This next question comes from Zach from Burnsville. He said, at what point in your life did you decide to become a professional soccer player? When did you realize that it was a possibility?
I think it was as a youth football player, you start getting like invites to the national team camps. That's around 15 years old. I think it's 14. And that's the first time I think I started to think about with the first national team games we were like under 15 playing against Wales and Sweden. I remember scoring a couple goals against both teams, and that was the first time when some scouts from Europe started to like raise interest in me, and I think we were like 16 or 17. I went to Chelsea as to the kind of tryout to go and see the how and I did well. I think they wanted me to come back for other tryout, but we were playing in Finland at the time, so it was not something I wanted to do at the time. But to get interest from those kind of clubs, I think that's when you start to think it could be my like to do this for my job as well. And yeah, so I would say 15, 16. That's the age when I realized I could do it as a professional footballer.
This next question, Teemu, comes from Mark in St. Paul. He says, now you've played 3 games, what's your impression of the on-pitch chemistry between you and your teammates?
Yeah, there's been good stuff, and obviously it takes time. It's never so easy when the new player comes. So everyone kind of still learning each other what everyone is doing on the pitch, but I can see it developing every day on the training pitch and on the game. So I hope next couple of weeks when we have a couple more games and more training sessions, we'll get even better. And I have a feeling I will enjoy playing with the guys we have in our team.
The next question comes from Oscar in North Mankato. He said, this question is actually from Logan, who's 12, and Luis Gonzalez, who is 8. They say, we're super excited that you're joining our team. If you go to the Minnesota Fair, which food are you trying first? If you have an extra jersey, they'll gladly accept it as well. But I think the question is about food and the Minnesotan State Fair, which is a yearly event, which is wonderful in the state of Minnesota. I guess the question is food. What are you excited to try? What have you tried?
To be honest, I think it was Robin told me about the fair yesterday or 2 days ago, and he said there's loads of food. So that's the only knowledge of what food is, that there's loads of food. So I think there's I can pick from many options. So don't know what kind of food is there, but can't wait to go there. I want to experience that because I've heard it's a great fair, and I will for sure take my family there.
This one comes from Kaylee on the subject of food, and she said, "What's the best Finnish food?"
Finnish food. What is? I think they say the meatballs are Swedish, but but I like meatballs. We do that in Finland as well. So that's and the good Finnish salmon is good as well.
Wonderful. So last major question from myself, Teemu. I think you mentioned it a little earlier on, but I'd love to go deeper into it. That the proudest moment you have had in football, it seems like it was representing Finland at a major tournament. What was that like for you personally when you were hearing the national anthem played and you've got your teammates alongside you? You know the whole country is watching at that point. The whole world is watching. What was that like for you personally?
Yeah, I actually got injured just before the Euros in our last game for Norwich, our second last in the season before. So I injured my ankle a little bit. So there was a moment when physios told me it could be like too fast to get fit for the Euros, and but eventually we did great work with the Finnish physio for national team to get me fit. But I still had to play with the taped ankle, which is not nice. But to be able to, because I already had that sadness about maybe not going to Euros. Even we did great job to qualify, and then I was told like maybe it would be too early. So to be able to make it and be fit and to be on the starting 11 on that pitch. We played in Denmark against in Parken against Denmark in Copenhagen, and especially I had 4 great years over there, so it was a home for me before that, and it was something I dreamed my whole life as a football player to be able to do that, and obviously we had a great team. It was we knew each other from really long time, so we were like that team played many years with each other, and to be able to share that with good friends, it was something special. And obviously that game was the game Christian Eriksen got that heart problem. So it was a tough. I would say toughest game in my life. Like to have that euphoria to go have that like first ever Euro game, and then something like that happen, and then you don't know what's going on with him, and then be able to. Then we kind of said like whatever Denmark wants to do, we do, and then the decision was taken that we keep playing, but it was still hard to think about football and do that. But we won that game, and but I remember after the game it didn't feel like winning a game because it was just a so sad day overall. Because still after the game we barely knew what's going on. We just knew he's alive, but. But it still brings me like goosebumps and stuff. Like it was a tough game, but yeah, it was a great experience to go Euros and to be able to play there for sure. And like I said, that's the next dream is to go Euros, but do better than we did last time and play well over there, and maybe even go through the group stage and do the real games.
Absolutely. Well, Teemu, look, thank you so much for the time. I know there's a lot of fans who really, really appreciate hearing from you. Before we let you go, if you wouldn't mind, a little message to the fans.
Yeah, hi, all the fans. It's been great welcome from you guys to me, and I've enjoyed my first 2 weeks here a lot, and I've been happy to see so many of you in our home games, and yeah, hopefully we can turn this season to the better and start winning more games at home, and the atmosphere you really you really deserve that. So let's keep the same atmosphere on the stadium, and we promise we will improve our game and get some better results.
Wonderful. Teemu Pukki, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. And thank you to all the season ticket members who have joined us here today. Minnesota United, of course, in the Leagues Cup over the course of the next couple of weeks in the group that contains Chicago Fire and Puebla. For all the latest on that and even more news on Leagues Cup and Major League Soccer, make sure you log on to MNUFC.com. From all of us here, thanks for joining us, and we'll speak to you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Sound of the Loons podcast presented by Allina Health. Minnesota United, of course, with plenty of football on the horizon, including the brand new Leagues Cup, which you can watch exclusively on Apple TV. Tickets still available at mnufc.com/tickets on Sunday at 8 p.m. Central. Minnesota United hosting Puebla of Liga MX. Thanks for letting me guest host the Sound of the Loons podcast once again. Next week, you'll be treated to the dulcet tones of Steve McPherson. From all of us here, thanks for listening. We'll speak to you soon.